Little fish, 1, 2, 3, 4. Big fish, big fish, big fish. Cardboard box. Big fish, little fish, big fish, little fish, big fish, little fish. Cardboard box.
Hi guys, before us here we can see all the components needed to tie one of my favourite rigs, which is the combi rig. So I'm going to take you through those individually and then we'll show you how to tie the rig up as well. Okay, we can start with the Corda Captor curve shanks. These are in a size 6 in a wheat green colour. We then have the dark matter heavy braid hook links in £15, again from Corda. We've got the Corda ring swivels in size 8. Corda shrink tube medium in weed green colour again to match the hooks. We've got some rig rings, small size. Corda IQ2 fluorocarbon hook length. And then just to change the script slightly, we've got the Fox Power Grip tungsten rig putty. Stuff's really good, really rate it, sticks like the proverbial to a blanket, brilliant stuff. And then we've also got a boilie just to measure the hair length and a pair of braid scissors as well. Okay, so we'll clear off our components. And we'll start by making a loop in our braid. So we find the edge of our braid, pull off a length, snip that off, move that to one side, and then we're going to make our loop for our hair. So just go, I like to go through twice, makes it nice and secure. There's nothing more annoying than your hair loop pulling out, completely ruins your rig. So again, a bit of moisture, and just pull that down nice and tight. And again, that gives you a nice big knot to wedge your boilie on as well, and stop it sliding back down the hair. Okay, so we've now got our loop. And the second thing we need to do is put on a rig ring. Now, the first thing we need to do before we do that is thread on our boilie so that we can judge the length of our hair. So we'll do that. Just pull that through. And then we'll get one of our rig rings. Now, rig rings have a bit of a tendency to disappear across the table at this point, so a bit of patience. Just gently teasing one out. Oh, nearly demonstrated that very aptly. Got one there now. So, oops, that did exactly what it shouldn't done, and I'll demonstrate exactly how to lose one. So I'm just going to, rather than faff around while we're on camera, I'm just going to try and dig another one out of the packet. Now, what can help you at this stage, and what I probably should have done beforehand, is just to wet your finger, just to try and give something for the rig ring to actually stick against. And as you can see, that's worked nicely. So we'll get our rig ring and just gently slide that down onto the braid. Now, it's a bit difficult to actually tie that whilst we have the boilie on. So again, we need to use that to judge the position of where we want the rig ring, pinch it on, and then pull the boilie off. And then what we'll do is just tie a simple overhand, and we know that our rig ring is sitting where we want it. So again, straighten that up, tie another loop over the top. Now, some people just tie one. I always prefer to tie two, just to make sure it's nice and secure, and I know it's not going anywhere or slipping up the line. So just 2 overhand knots, and the rig ring's lying nice and straight as well. So we'll pop that down, then we'll get hold of one of our hooks. So it's the curve pattern in a size 6. They come with a little green thing to protect the point. I'll take that off. You're going to need to expose the point to thread the rig ring on. Again, moisten the end of your braid back through the hook, and at this point turn the rig swivel back on itself, rig ring back on its point, so it comes through like that. And then you can see that's where I like it to sit, not too far around, so if I pull it, it won't actually come round the bend and slide off the point, again making the rig pretty useless. So we're just going to do a simple knotless knot. And then pin the braid. Moisten it again because the braid will fray. And then just go back through the hook, keeping hold of that loop for as long as possible, and then just sliding it down like that, and then we can see simple knotless knot, the rig ring in the right place. The next thing we need to do is get some shrink tubing. So we'll measure that up. That's about right. Don't want too much, just enough to make a bit more of an aggressive angle on the hook. Whoops. And also just to protect the knot as well. Just cover that up. So again, moisten the braid, put it through, and we'll pull that down onto the right spot. Now, what we then need to do is go and steam that over a kettle, and in true Blue Peter fashion, here is one that I steamed earlier. As you can see, just slightly kick the tubing round, just gives it a bit more of an aggressive angle, and I really like the way that hook sits like that. Now we've got to tie on the fluorocarbon and make this actually into a combi link. So we get our length of IQ2, snip that off. It is quite springy when it comes out, but that's probably, that's a good property that we want in the rig as well. And we can always steam that and straighten it out under the kettle as well. So what we're going to do, you can just see I've just formed a loop there. I'll take my braid, I'm going to poke that through there. I'm going to keep that pulled all the way down. Just let my loop go there, but I'll form it back again. And then I'm going to do the tricky bit, which is using, whilst I've still got two fingers pinning the braid and the loop, just start wrapping that round the outside of the loop. So around 3 times there, 4, whoops, 5, 6, 1 for luck. And then what we do is pinning that knot with that finger, let that go loose, and this is quite tricky. Come back up the line once, twice. Now I haven't left myself a huge amount of tag end here, which makes this knot slightly difficult. As you can see, it's just come back on itself there. Make sure I go back through, and then go back through the loop, grab hold of the braid, grab hold of the hook, try not to stick yourself in the finger, and then lots of moisture, sorry for the overexposure of my tongue there, and just tease it back down so that we've got that, and just gently, I use my teeth, others may wish to use other implements, just to tease that down, and there you can see got a nice neat knot sitting there. Okay, now you want to trim your tag ends. You don't have to trim them too tight because it gives something for the putty to hold on to. And again on this side, and also just allows a little bit for, if you haven't pulled your knot down quite as tight, you get a bit of slippage. There you can see it just leaves you a tag end, so it's not going to pull out. Okay, now we've got that, we need to add some putty to that point. You can either do this at the end, but we're going to do it now. Pull off a little block of putty, put that away, and just put that over our knot and just fold it in and try and make a neat little counterweight like that. Again, just keep forming that until you're happy. What you're looking for this bit of the rig to do is this is going to drop, keep the rig and drop it down into the mouth and keep that point heavy, so that's how that rig will sit in the mouth and then dig into the bottom lip. Okay, so now we've done that. Last thing we need to do is attach a swivel. So we're going to find our ring swivels. dig one out of the packet. Again, I like to use a ring swivel with this one. Some people use a loop. I kind of think loop knots tend to be ones that slip, so I prefer a ring swivel just to give it that movement. If you've got it tied stiff on there and your leg digs in, your combi link can shoot up like that and have your rig poking out the rig off the lake bed, which is no good at all. So by adding that flexibility into it, it kind of helps it to lay flat. Okay, so just trim a tiny bit off the end of this IQ2, and I'm going to tie a Palomar knot here. So we go back through the ring swivel. Make sure we've got a nice big knot on it, nice big loop even. Whoops. Okay, it's quite springy stuff this. So an alternative way to do it is to fold your loop and then actually go through your swivel like that, keeping hold. If you want to increase the size of your loop, just poke a bit through like that. This could have gone smoother. Anyway, we'll get there eventually. So eventually we have our loop formed, and we're going to go wrap it over the line like that, tuck it back through, so you can see like that, and then poke the swivel through there, so that eventually you can just moisten that and gently bring it all together. Again, key to any knot, making sure it's nice and moist, and don't be afraid to just tease it down gently as opposed to trying to pull it in quickly. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to trim that off. Now some people like to trim this nice and tight. Again, I like to give myself a bit of room for manoeuvre and a bit of a tag end just in case that knot slips a little. Okay, and there we have it guys, the finished combi link. We'll just pop a boilie on that to show you how the rig works in terms of mechanics, and hopefully you'll see how effective it is in dropping down into the palm. You can see there the point is heavy, and the point always seems to want to find its way. Even if you haven't try and face it up like that, draw it across your hand, and you know that that's going to try and drop into the bottom lip of the carp. And I think that is a fantastic little rig. Very effective because it always tries to kick away from the lead, and because of the rig swivel and the blowback effect, even if that gets picked up and doesn't dig hold, you pretty much know it's going to be fishing effectively again, hopefully, unless it's caught up in weed or anything. Okay, and there we go guys.